steel with such a high carbon percentage of 1.4 that we're using can get damaged easily at high temperatures. I definitely don't want to see the thing sparkling like a 4th of July sparkler when I pull it out of the fire. 1 or 2 little sparks is okay, but if it's really sparking, the steel will never be as good as it could have been otherwise. Okay, and here we go. Tack weld. No sparks. That's good. If I didn't know any better, I would say that was like the perfect forge welding temperature. But I'm a little rusty. I haven't done this in a little while. So I can see obviously a lot more sparks coming off the power hammer here. I'm going to force the tip on the knife here. That looked really good. I think we got a really good forge welded billet. Okay, so this is going to be the tang end of the knife. We'll bring that right up to forge welding temperature as we forge it. But from now on, the blade, which is the pointy end, I want to keep heating and hammering at lower and lower temperatures to refine the grain of the steel. I never want to heat it up to that bright forge welding temperature again. For now, it's my obligation to try to reduce some of the damage that comes from heating steel up that high, the result of which is large grain growth. So the end that's coming out that's hot now is the tang end, that's the handle end. we have a very distinctive taper in the tang now. That's going to be the handle. You can see it's nice and thin. Now we'll finish the blade. The general process here is forge the tang, forge the blade. Finish forging the tang, anneal the tang, finish forge the blade, anneal the blade. Just enough to get all that scale off the surface. You see, I'm hammering it, continuing to hammer it as it cools off. And that's what's refining the grain structure. I've marked it where the blade tang junction are going to be. I'm going to forge right up to that line and right across. That'll give me a very distinctive mark between, a thickness variation between the tang and the blade. But now I'm just working it like it was a normal piece of steel. I created the billet of steel through the process of forge welding. Okay, so tang is done, so I'm going to anneal the tang. Nice dull cherry red color, as seen from under my anvil here, or under the lip of my fork. And there it is, my annealing color. We're going to finish forging the tang, or the blade, and then anneal the blade. We'll stick it in this yellow bucket of ashes. Low temperature. We let that cool really slowly in those ashes, usually overnight.
What kind of ash do you use?
You have your plugs in, you can take them out.
What kind of ash do you use?
Those are rice straw ashes.
Okay.
And that's just the traditional ashes that they use over in Japan, where I was living for 18 years. And in that little yellow bucket, imagine filling this whole room full of rice straw and burning it to ashes, it would fit in that bucket. So that's a lot of rice straw ashes.
The rice straw is the part of the rice stalk that doesn't turn into the rice grain that we eat, right?
That's right. Okay, so follow me over here with your eyes, I guess. Okay. So here's a billet. I've got 3 of them. I guess I could pass all 3 around. Here's a billet, 3 billets that I forged yesterday in order to make a knife like that. You can see there's plenty of room to make that. But I'll pass them around. You can see here tactilely, you can feel the ridge between the tang and the blade. If you look at it from the cross section, it's a clear diamond. So that's just something that you can do with forged blades that you can't do very easily with just normal bar stock. So this is where we brought that knife to. The next step is I'm going to sandblast the surface because the kind of the brownish blackish color on there is iron oxide. So I'll sandblast that in a machine that's the farthest there on the wall towards the door. That'll make it a dull matte gray color, like the color of his sweater. And then I'm going to hammer it under the power hammer again, a process called cold forging. The cold forging does 4 different things. It brings the high spots down to low spots. It further refines the grain of the steel, makes the surface nice and shiny, and also we can, by 2 or 3%, we can actually adjust the profile or shape of the billet by how we cold forge it. Meaning, if I was cold forging a blade like this, and I thought that it had too much curvature in the cutting edge, I could thickness allowing, I could cold forge the spine a little bit more, and that would stretch the steel on top and push the cutting edge down. On the other hand, if I thought the cutting edge was too straight, I could cold forge the edge and put a little bit of curvature in. You can't just keep going back and forth because eventually you crack the steel because you're doing that cold, right? But there's a degree to which you can do that where you're enhancing the final cutting performance of the steel without overdoing it.
What's the difference between quenching in water and oil?
Okay, good question. So interestingly, what you guys just witnessed, I just took junk metal, except for the carbon steel core, which is good steel. I basically took junk metal and I made it into a billet, which if that billet is perfectly forged welded, I'm just going to throw a number up there. I'm going to say it would probably easily sell for a $700 knife. Okay, so I took junk and I just created $700. However, the way it sits in that yellow bucket right now, even after all that work and 31 years of skill incorporated into what I just did, it's still not worth anything more than the materials I started off with. Because inherently it has no value as a knife yet. It's the heat treating, which is annealing, quenching, and tempering, that transforms a useless piece of steel into something that's highly valuable, highly sought after, and highly useful. We're transforming the metallurgical structure inside the steel. So it gets sandblasted, cold forged, cut out, ground out, holes drilled for the pins, like here in the handle. And if there's going to be a name stamped on it, whenever you stamp it then I black out the windows, which are already blacked out. I turn the lights off, and I light the forge. And this time I'm using a lot more pine charcoal in the fire. And I heat it up to a dull orange color, kind of like the bucket over there. And then I quench it in water, and that hardens the steel inside. Remember, it's the hardness of steel that allows the blade to take a fine edge and hold that edge for a long time. So until it's hardened, it's useless as a knife. But the instant I quench it, I basically transformed it from $8 worth of steel to a $700 knife. Then I temper it over the fire, which takes a little bit of the brittleness out, and then, okay, so this is a heat-treated blade. This one happens to be Damascus, so this one's got about a $1,500 blade. But until I quenched it, it was only a $5 blade. So if you're looking for a place to park your money, Carter Cutlery is a great place to put your investment. Very high return on your portfolio. What's that?
The annealing is first.
Yeah, annealing is what we just did. You anneal right after you finish forging it. Then you sandblast it, then you cold forge it, then you quench it, then you temper it. So from here, all I need to do is straighten it, grind it to the right edge geometry, polish it up and put a handle on it. But in my mind, that's already worth $1,500. Because all I gotta do is put a couple hours into finishing it. But it's like taking carbon dust, which is worthless, and making a rough diamond out of it. As long as you know the diamond's inside, it's worth what it's worth. All you gotta do is polish all the rough stuff off the outside, right? You know, when they dig a diamond out of the ground, it's unrefined, it's not polished, doesn't have its facets yet. But the person who's holding that diamond is under no illusion that it's worth anything less than what it's worth.
Is it quenching hard or what's the annealing?
Well, it does two different things. First of all, it makes it in its theoretical softest state. But more importantly, when you hammer that steel and change its shape so many times, there's molecular stress that builds up inside of the steel, and the annealing relieves that stress. Yeah. So then from this to this is a matter of grinding here on these rotating water stones. And since we have a minute, if the bandsaw wasn't obnoxious enough of a noise, I'll turn on the grinding wheel here. It'd be like 100 people raking their fingernails on the chalkboard all at one time.
So, oil quenching is...
So what's the difference between oil quenching and water quenching? That's a great question. Oil quenching is a gentle way to quench steel. The oil doesn't pull the heat out of the blade as fast as water does. So if you're worried about distortion, like blades twisting and warping, oil is a safer way to quench your blades than water. Water is a more severe quenching medium. Everything happens faster, and it happens